outside of Korea, it's really, really difficult to actually understand the depth of historical antipathy which exists in South Korea towards Japan. I mean, you've got to think Canada, United States, England, France, Singapore, Malaysia, and then you add in a little bit of Ukraine, Russia, and you begin to get an understanding of how deep this antipathy is. So, this effort to rapproche between South Korea and Japan is really, really significant.
And is it China that made this happen, do you think?
Well, there are security rationales, definitely. China is there, but also North Korea. Both states are very concerned about China and North Korea. So for the last 12 months since President Yoon came to office, there has been tit-for-tat exchanges between North Korea and South Korea. North Korea launches a missile, South Korea undertakes a similar military test or undertakes joint training with the United States. Neither side is willing to back down. And there's also expectations that at some stage, North Korea will conduct a much larger missile test, potentially over Japan, and testing its re-entry capacity of its missiles. There's also the potential for a nuclear test by North Korea. So this concern regarding external forces is really, really strong. But there's also an economic rationale, and that economic rationale is probably just as influential. Both Korea and Japan are, I could say, victims of increasing tension between China and the United States. They need to work together to ensure that they are in a position to face these trade tensions which are occurring between China and the United States. But lastly, the diplomatic timing is also right. You've got two leaders who are willing to engage. You've got third-party states which are supporting their engagement. Diplomacy is basically an exotic fruit, and if you pick it at the right time, it works.
Does South Korea get an invitation to the G7 meeting in Japan, in Hiroshima, in May? And does that mean that South Korea will naturally continue its policy of sort of distancing itself from Beijing?
Well, yeah, if South Korea does get an invitation, this will be significant, and it will reinforce and strengthen Yoon's position of rapprochement with Japan in the domestic political scene. There's nothing which gives a political party greater strength than success. And the reward of being able to attend the G7 will give South Korea's President Yoon the strength to continue to engage with Japan and continue to position itself within the Japanese and US position vis-a-vis China.